Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, we've got our World Cup edition. Had to break out some jerseys.
Yeah, that's right. We picked some teams that are in the quarterfinals. It's a huge weekend for soccer fans. Lots of big big countries with lots of players we know. So yes, awesome.
It's super exciting, and it kind of goes along with a story I posted this week when I visited Zebra Foods last week. It's a Brazilian and Portuguese grocery store. It was really funny because it's like I've never had this situation happen where they scheduled the retail tour during Portugal playing at the World Cup, and I mean every person in that store who was not actively serving customers was trying to watch the game. And it was really cute, and it's just kind of another one of those little sports are everywhere things.
I have been at produce shows during the World Cup, and it's been in booths and stuff like that. In fact, I remember seeing a Croatia game one year.
Yeah, this is just for my friend John Pandel. I had to break out my son's Croatia jersey. It doesn't exactly fit. Maybe I'll have to get my own one of these days. But we have.
So you won't be rooting for them against Brazil?
No, I will be. Yes, I am Croatia over Brazil, of course. But if I had to choose, it would definitely be this guy. That's my jam, but this is my son's jersey and it will not fit me. So well, in the news of the produce business this week, we had this week and last week, we had some pretty notable layoffs. Apeel Sciences notified the state of California that they're planning to do layoffs. That notification is for companies that are doing, I believe, 300 or more. And then last week we had the DoorDash that was 1,200 layoffs, not 12,000. And then this week we had another announcement for layoffs, and that is Blue Apron. And Blue Apron is one of the pioneers of meal kits, laying off 10% of its workforce.
Yeah, you've done reviews on it. It is there's anytime you get a release from a company, you know that they don't want to sound too negative, but there was some stuff that were plainly in there that look like very dangerous signs.
Yeah, I mean, Blue Apron at one time when it was at its peak, it was worth what was it, $1.9 billion, and now it is worth 30 million. It is one of the first, but one of the meal kits that really pushed into the mainstream, really pushed that concept. At, like you said, I've reviewed it over the years, and at the very beginning it was new and exciting, and the ingredients were amazing, and then they overspent on customer acquisition on the marketing part of it, and it is a subscription service, and the attrition, like the cost to maintain each subscriber, was way too high. They weren't going to make it. So they've done rebrands and reformulations. They've done retail. Right now they're doing specific kits. We also had some news of a specific kit nature with Sunbasket and Gobble, which are owned by a multi-level marketing company called Prove It. And they are prescriptive meal kits where they're actually doing specific diets, and the Gobble one, I believe, is geared toward children. But the bottom line of meal kits is they're expensive. They're too expensive for my family.
They're way too expensive for mine. And one of the things that I noticed in there, they mentioned the layoffs, and then elsewhere it mentioned they plan to streamline organizational structure, including a plan and reduction of marketing, consulting, and labor in 2023. That I'm not, how do you get your way to profitability with meaningful reductions in marketing, consulting, and labor? It sounds like
Yeah.
I'm not optimistic, let's just say that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's optimistic for Blue Apron at this point. And it's not surprising. And I think with consumers tightening their belts, there are certain ways that they could spin it in saying that you are spending less on incidentals. You're not overspending at the grocery store by sticking to your plan. But then also grocery stores can push back and say, hey, we're the original meal kit and we got recipes right here.
Yeah.
So as consumers, a lot of what I heard in the sessions at the New York Produce Show last week was talking about how consumers have had this reinvigoration of being able to cook in the kitchen in certain populations of them. And maybe we don't need these step-by-step instructions as much as we did before. I don't know. It's back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's cyclical.
Right. Well,
Which takes us to some of our second topic, which is all a bunch of 2023 food trend stories. These are always so fun. It's
these
fun.
are always so fun.
It's,
We
it's
had the
fun
whole
because it shows how a food professional like myself is so ignorant to some of these trends. Even some of these products, I'm like, what? I had to look half these up.
Actually, Whole Foods is always first out of the box with these. They put the only produce item that Whole Foods has was dates. And as I talked to some date shippers last week in New York, they pointed out that Whole Foods said stuff about dates, but not actually dates themselves. Everything was either date sugar or date syrup or date whatever ingredients of dates, but not actually whole dates. So I'm like, well, there's an opportunity for you. But these lists are always absurd. I like to pick out my own, but some of these items. So Fresh Direct was first earlier this week. They picked a couple of different topics, including like DIY things like dessert boards, butter boards, nostalgia foods. When I picked the art for this, who would have thought you would pick Little Debbie white powdered donuts along with Bowery Farms lettuce? Those two things have nothing in common other
I
than
guess they're part of a balanced meal.
everything in moderation. But I don't think anyone could justify little white donuts though. Those things. Woo! So local produce, conscious and caring consumers, private labels was another one. And we've seen a lot of news about private labels and how consumers are turning toward those more often. And I can't remember whether it was IRI or Retail Wire sent out a study about private labels, and it showed that older consumers are more loyal to private labels than younger consumers. So that was an interesting tidbit from that. The data essential one is the one that I really want to take some shots at because, okay, the 10 flavors of ingredients. Put a finger down if you've never heard of this. I think you would lose.
Well, let's see. No, I think I'm at 8.
Okay, so you've heard of ranch water?
No, well, I have a suspicion of what ranch water is, and it sounds like a food safety problem.
London fog.
New mushrooms.
I have learned of mushrooms. Ube, the less intensely, less delicious purple sweet potato.
Right.
I have had yuzu in something. There's a ramen place here that does a little yuzu bomb that goes in there. It's a really good citrus, but it's not one that they really grow commercially in the United States or have available commercially in the United States for very long. The one on there besides mushrooms, I thought that is actually something that we would really want to see is mangonadas. And I've been talking about mangonadas for years, but I think it's a product of living in the Southwestern United States, technically Southwestern United States, talking about the deliciousness of mango and tahini and chamoy all together. You're actually starting to see mangonada flavored popsicles that are made by Mainstream Outshine Popsicles has a mangonada flavor. So I think that's definitely a valid thing. And the mango board should be, jumping all over that one. The one that I am most salty about is pickled strawberries. Like, why? Why would we want to take something so delicious and make it taste nothing like itself?
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me, unless you're doing something with it that is amazing.
Yeah, unless the strawberries are meh. But it just reminds me of maraschino cherries. And I guess I'm going to have to go to some kind of food show and have one of these chef demos show me that pickled strawberries are worth having, because strawberries alone by themselves, or even just like macerated a little bit, are totally my jam. And I'm not sure if pickled strawberries are a thing the world needs. But I will be
We're gonna
coming up
have to
with
do a little work convincing us. Now, one of the things I have covered some of the stuff that Data Central has done over the years, and I've seen and met Mike Costio, the trendologist. They have to be so far out there in order to predict these. I mean, if they're predicting stuff that we already know about, they're not doing their job, right?
right.
So it's
Um, the,
got to be some crazy stuff.
and the other thing that one of the trends that they picked out is something that I've seen firsthand that I think everyone needs to see firsthand to understand exactly what it is. It's regenerative agriculture. And I did a farm tour in California this summer at Josie's Organics of some of their test plots for regenerative ag. And when you see it in person, it makes so much more sense than trying to read what it's about and conceptualize what it's about. Even some of the articles that I've read about it and pictures of it doesn't give you the full scope of what it is. So that kind of thing, I think we're going to be reading about, seeing more, hearing more about regenerative agriculture. It is something that's not just an emerging trend, it's something that's gaining a lot of steam.
And we have covered that issue a few times. Richard Smalley has written some columns about it. There have been some webinars about that we've covered. And I agree with you. I think it is something that definitely has traction, and it's something that is both environmentally responsible and pays off ROI back to the grower.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for now, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Happy World Cup weekend for everyone who is watching. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.